Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, to the Bleed Los podcast. We are live in the Carne Asada. This is our inaugural live episode. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Hopefully, this is going to be one of many that we are going to be doing. And of course, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Alysha del Valle.
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
I thought you meant me.
And then the other lovely princess that sits up in the tower during the show, Babyface. Say hi, Babyface.
Hi, Babyface.
There we go. And shouts out to the homie who unfortunately is on assignment and couldn't join us tonight. And that's our other co-host, Alonso. So for those of you who are coming across this for the very first time, we are the Bleed Los podcast. We are a Dodgers-centric podcast, but we also talk about the city of Los Angeles, and we talk about taco culture. So we're about many things aside from baseball. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can get all the updates on new episodes. We have a YouTube channel, so you can look us up also on YouTube, the Bleed Los podcast. But let's get right to it. So we're going to start with a recap. The Dodgers just came off of a road trip where they went 4-2. To any other team, that is a successful road trip. But all I saw in social media today was doom and gloom because the Dodgers, who won, were successful, come back home on a 4-2 road trip, and everybody on Twitter is saying the Dodgers suck. Alysha, what do you think about that?
Well, not surprised. I mean, Dodger fans are very fanatic, and I'm one of them. So, I mean, I'm not calling anybody out. It's still early in the season, not early, but we got a lot of baseball to play, and I can see how I hear it myself, how people are freaked out when we lose to a team like the Pirates. Especially after yesterday's game. It's just a completely night and day, and so people freak out, and that's where the word fanatic comes from, right? Fans, fanatic. I think that I would like to tell people to just chill and calm down, and it's gonna be okay. But I admit, I even get no, we should be beating these teams. I mean, is it a surprise, Babyface? I think Dodger fans, we're spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse to losing 2 of 3 to the Pirates. I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, before on there, we were talking about, I think they had 15 runs to use during this series. They used 11 yesterday, and they didn't have enough for the other 2 games. I mean, you just can't lose to the Pirates because these are the type of games that coming back and bite you at the end of the year, especially if it's going to be a dogfight to the end of the season, where 1 game, 2 games separates, winning the division or making a playoff spot. Here's 2 games. You lost another 2 games in Arizona a couple weeks ago. And it seems to be these games where they're playing these lesser teams at the time that the Dodgers don't seem to get up for those games.
No.
So there's this argument that the Dodgers don't get up for these games. I mean, there's other teams that do sweep the Pirates. There's other teams that do beat them, and the Dodgers don't come across that. But, I mean, come on, guys. Are we just not giving the Pirates enough credit? That is a Major League Baseball team over there.
Can you name 3 players on the Pirates before this series
after
started?
Watching, not before watching the series, but now that I've watched the series, yes, I can name three Pirates. But I mean, look, it's 162 games. I use the work analogy, and I know nobody cares about that, but I'm sure there's some days where you go to work where maybe you half-ass it, maybe you weren't as good as you were the day before. I mean, it happens. I mean, Quintana was mowing the Dodgers down in that first game. And I've said this before, the Dodgers seem to struggle against left-handed pitching, but it's really just the inconsistency. Before we get into this Pirates series, though, I want to go back and talk about the Chicago Cubs and where we started the road trip. Now, I thought I was not expecting a sweep. So let's start with something positive, okay, Babyface? You immediately go negative. You immediately talk about the Dodgers losing 2 out of 3 to the Pirates of Pittsburgh. But, hey, they swept the Cubs of Chicago, who, hey, is they're not a very good team. And we had Cole Wright from the Marquee Network that was on our episode a couple of episodes ago, who gave us a preview about the Cubs. Honestly, after listening to Cole, I thought the Cubs would put up a little bit more of a fight against the Dodgers. I was not expecting the Dodgers just to completely dominate that series. I believe they outscored the Cubs 20-3 in that series. What did you think about the Dodgers in Chicago, Alysha?
Okay, so before we pivoted back to the Cubs. It's the same answer though. This is my observation and what I think. So the Dodgers are accused of not getting up for teams that are not very good. But the Cubs have a loyal fan base. That place was packed. And there were a lot of Dodger fans there because it's Wrigley, second oldest ballpark. Everyone wants to be there. And Dodgers travel well. Flash forward to the Pirates. Nobody was there, especially at today's game. It was empty. So I'm wondering, do the Dodgers need us? Do they need the fans in the stands to get their energy going? That first game for the Pirates, they got there so late. I was like, oh, this is the one game they're going to lose because they're tired. I did not panic. And then we whooped them that second game. And then today was kind of like, made me a little uncomfortable. I told you I panicked, but I got over it. But I did panic. So the Cubs, when the Dodgers played the way the Dodgers were supposed to, of course, I'm like, yes, there we are. Like, it's, thank goodness I was born a Dodger fan, It was very easy to swallow. They're that good. The Dodgers are supposed to do that, right?
Yeah, babyface. What do you think? What was your takeaway from that Chicago series?
No, I mean, I kind of expected if they were going to lose a game. I thought maybe one game in that series. I remember I mentioned it. I thought they traditionally start the series with a win. I thought maybe the second game they drop it. Then they got that rain out, so they had the doubleheader. So basically, when that happened, I thought, okay, they might lose the second game of that series, but they ended up winning that and then finishing them off when Stroman got scratched on Sunday. So it got the pitching wise probably got a little bit easier for them. So it was pretty much an easy sweep. But I think going in with that momentum, I mean, I think the Pittsburgh series always should have been something different. But yeah, I mean, I kind of would have felt better if they would have lost the game in Chicago. But definitely I'll take the sweep.
Well, to me, look, I mean, it's a perfect example of the Dodgers season, right? They go ahead, they sweep the Cubs of Chicago, and then, of course, there's the letdown against the Pirates of Pittsburgh. The same thing happened in their last road trip when they went against the Padres. They won 2 out of 3 against the Show Pods, and then they laid an egg against the Arizona Diamondbacks. To me, it's a disturbing trend. It's something to keep an eye on. They seem to be a different team at home than they are on the road. Do you guys agree?
Okay. Again, Arizona was empty. It was a playoff hockey game that night, and there were more Dodger fans there than Arizona fans. So I'm just saying the Dodgers, I feel like at the very least, they need a full stadium. Maybe they're just entertainers and they want to perform for full crowds. I don't know, but that's another example of there was nobody at, in terms of, again, Dodger fans were spoiled. We sell out, our stadium repeatedly over and over every night. And so maybe it's like an energy thing or a mental thing where like, man, we don't have to show up tonight. I know it's not on purpose. I mean, these are professionals. I love our guys, but you get what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I think you bring up a very interesting question because when you talk to these guys and you ask them about the pandemic, that's the number one thing that they point out, that it was very weird playing a game without fans. And, I think in other sports, it's more prominent because they're kind of closer. Like, for example, in basketball, where you have all those fans and they're basically on top of the court with you. When you have that energy, I get why there's a home court advantage, right? Now, if the Dodgers, but now you got to sit there and you ask yourself, I mean, isn't that the professionalism of Major League Baseball? Yes, you're going to go into a stadium. There's nobody there. Pittsburgh, and it's too bad because it's a beautiful stadium. But yeah, there was nobody in the stands. So the fact that there was no energy coming from the stands shouldn't the Dodgers have brought that energy? I mean, I get it. It's a 162 game season and you need to pace yourself. But babyface Alysha, isn't it on the Dodgers to bring that energy to every series so we don't have a letdown?
I mean, it is on them, but you said it yourself over and over. It's a long season, a lot of games. And again, sometimes there's the travel, the top of the lineup's been showing up, right? So, and the bullpen did not show up today, ours, which was a surprise. I don't know. I keep thinking that maybe the pandemic, I don't want to say anything too negative. I'm just going to say.
Just say it. It's okay.
They are professionals and they get paid a whole lot of moolah to show up and win. I just don't think that as a ball player, I mean, these are grown men playing a child's game. Nobody wants to lose. Exactly. So I don't know if it's like subconscious or something where they, like you mentioned it, they need an audience. And let me clarify corrections and retractions, like Petro says. It was not a hockey game when nobody was in Arizona. It was a Suns playoff game.
It was basketball.
My bad. Yeah.
You stand corrected. I mean, babyface, what do you think of that theory? I mean, is that why they play much better at home? Because they're playing in front of a packed stadium and you have energy. Say what you will. At Dodger Stadium, there's always something going on. I know people hate the wave. I know people hate the beach ball. But there's something going on in that stands. There is some level of energy. So when you show up to some place like Pittsburgh and it is completely empty, I get it. The Cubs are loyal. That's a loyal fan base. But I saw a lot of Dodgers gear in Wrigley Field.
It was full. Wrigley's smaller,
What do you think about that theory?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the games in Pittsburgh weren't as full as Chicago, but I think like we're saying, these guys are professional. They're gonna go out there and obviously I'd love to see them sweep. Obviously 2 out of 3 would have been the best thing, but like I said, you just can't lose 2 out of 3. I mean, they're professional. They can bring their energy. They know they got to win games. They know. I mean, I don't know if they're going in with a mentality where they're kind of taking, like you said earlier, just kind of taking a day off and kind of just it's the Pirates. I don't know if they're looking at the schedule and going, "Oh, Pirates, okay, that's easy win," and then when they go out there, they get punched in the face. So we'd have to kind of get that feeling of what they're feeling in the clubhouse. I'm sure you ask any of the players, they're going to tell you they should have won that series, but something just punched them in the face. Either they didn't take the Pirates seriously, or I don't know.
Look, it happens. I mean, every team is guaranteed to lose at least 60 games. So I think for me, what this is indicative of this first month of the season, and again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but this is why I told you guys, I hate to say that the Dodgers are getting off to a slow start, considering they have 20 wins. They're in first place. And again, it sounds like we're bitching and moaning about a last place team. Yes, they are not playing up to expectations. Are our expectations realistic?
I mean, they're winning. I mean, yeah, if you look down at the lineup, there's a lot of guys that aren't there yet. Muncy, Turner, Freeman's like one of the only guys that's bringing it. But yeah, I mean, you could go throughout that entire lineup and you're like, okay, these guys have 20 wins. I mean, look at the lineup. I mean, a lot of guys aren't there yet. They're not performing yet. So, 21 is obviously good.
Okay, but the beginning of the season, Mookie was not hot. And I feel what I'm trying to get at is it switched. Now we're super top heavy, front loaded, our first batters up. And then the second half of the guys aren't here. But remember, Mookie and Cody were on fire for they slowed down and then they came up. Right?
Cody Bellinger was on fire for a week. He wins the award, And then ever since he won the award,
he went ice cold. Yeah.
yeah, all of a sudden, whatever body was inside of Cody Bellinger left him, and it was left with something else. But that's what baseball is. This team right now is inconsistent. I would rather take inconsistency now at the beginning of the season. It's not like any team has jumped out and is taking a huge lead. Again, I cannot stress enough going into the end of this Pirates series, depending on what the show pods do, the Dodgers had a game and a half game lead on the show pods. They're not playing up to their potential. If this team clicks on all cylinders, who knows? What I'm concerned about is this. So far to me, the pitching has been carrying this team. I did not expect the Dodgers pitching to be as good as it is so far. I mean, they have an ERA right now as a team. I think it's a little over 2, but they're like first in all these important pitching categories. I mean, they're first in ERA. They're first in batting average against. They're first with walks plus hits per inning pitched. I mean, this pitching staff is fantastic. But how long can they continue this? Sooner or later, the offense is going to have to pick them up and carry them. And this is an offense that is inconsistent. You see it in the game. They struggle for 3 innings, and then they explode and score 5 runs, 7 runs in an inning, just like they did against Pittsburgh in Game 2. And they're huge, and they win. But then they go through games where these guys can't get a hit. So you hope that sooner or later that offense is going to go ahead and pick up. But then I'm concerned that once the offense gets up, now the pitching is going to be giving up 5 to 6 runs a game. So look, as long as they get hot towards the end of the season, because I cannot stress enough, the new playoff format, the Dodgers will not have to exert themselves like they did last year. They'll, as long as they get in, and if they're playing well, who's going to want to face that lineup?
I mean, but still, even with getting in like that, if they don't win the division, they're going to start off on the road, right? Isn't the first series like a 3-game set on the road with the division winner? Yeah,
but look, what did the Nationals do to us that one year? Right? We had home field advantage, and they beat us, and then they went ahead and they won the World Series. So it's all about getting hot. The Braves got hot last year. So I'm just saying, as frustrating as it is, and Alysha has said this many times, pace yourself. You're never going to make it through the season if you lose your mind after every series. Yes, it's frustrating that they lost, but look, it could be worse. I mean, you could be Max Muncy and then get Ric Flaired by Wilson Contreras, which I just don't understand that play. That play was not a baseball play. I don't understand why his hand went up Muncy's crotch, and why is Muncy not wearing a cup? Was it confirmed that Muncy was not wearing a cup?
I believe so. Yeah, I saw that play, and I'm like, why is he reaching in towards him instead of like around him for the ball? Was he doing that on purpose?
Do you think that was dirty? Alysha, would you consider that dirty, what he did?
Yes, I would. But I'm not surprised. There are just some players that want an advantage in any way possible. We don't see that too often in baseball. However, I just recently was reading how the pandemic has made all of us a little cuckoo, right? A little angry, a little aggressive. But athletes are now being tracked as also having more incidents of violence, of aggression towards them with fans. And so wouldn't it make sense that also player to player, maybe there's more aggression? I want to blame the pandemic for everything. But I mean, seriously, Muncy, I know he was injured and I know why he was batting cleanup today, but it's just painful. It hurts my heart that he's going through this. So when someone had a dirty play on him, I got really I thought it was dirty right away. So
I am surprised that no one else. I think maybe everyone was in shock about what the heck just happened. I don't know if people were more in shock about the fact that why is Muncy not wearing a cup? Because that's all I saw on social media was everybody going, wait, Muncy's not wearing a cup. And he was playing third base that game, right, Babyface?
Yeah, I mean, what percentage of players do you think actually wear a cup these days?
It should be 100%. Are you telling me?
I don't think a lot of players do.
Well, because it
Really?
just doesn't happen all the time. It's not football where you're like poking and
Yeah,
grabbing and
He's playing third base. You would play third base in the major leagues and not wear a cup.
well, I played third base in ponytails and I did not. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, I actually don't know. I've never done my own study. I didn't ask any of the players when I got to interview them if they wore a cup, but I'll make sure and add that too.
I didn't know that was a question that we needed to ask. I just assumed every Major League Baseball player wore a cup. Okay, maybe the outfielders wouldn't wear a cup, but if you're in the infield, if you're a catcher, you mean to tell me you don't wear a cup?
I mean, a catcher probably does, but I mean,
Catcher for sure.
some of the other players, I don't know. I think we might have to start asking that question to players when they come on.
Look, I am a professional softball player, and I slow pitch, by the way, slow pitch softball, and I wear a cup.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, look, that is my biggest fear in the world, that I'm going to take one right in the mummy daddies, and it's just like I never want to experience that kind of pain,
And they call women weak. Anyway, I won't go there. Let's get back to baseball. Since we're on the topic of Muncie, I was at the dentist today and I was watching the game on my phone, and the gentleman next to me, an older gentleman, was kind of like peeking. So I let him watch with me while we're waiting. And he went on and on about Muncie. His belief is that Muncie was injured and that Dave Roberts isn't treating him well, and that he should have been sent down to the minor leagues to rehab, and they're not, they're overworking him. And then he said he did the same thing with Urias, and he was fired up about Muncie playing and batting fourth. And I had to explain to him why he was batting fourth today, but still.
See, this is why we needed to have friend of the Carne Asada, John Suhu, back on the show, because when in doubt, it always goes back to Dave Roberts.
I know.
Dave Roberts gets blamed for everything. It's an interesting point, but it's an interesting point that you bring up, Alysha. Would Muncie benefit from a rehab assignment? I don't know if he would, because honestly, when we had Adrian Gonzalez on, didn't he say that it took him a year to recover from that shoulder? I mean, I think no matter what you do, if you play in the minors, if you even send him down to the minors, I just don't think that his arm is right, and he needs it to hit.
Yeah, he's walked more than he's had hits. He's not swinging. I mean, I don't know. I feel bad. I want him, to be better. I feel bad for him. Again, these are professionals, and nobody wants to strike out. Nobody wants to lose. So,
and what unfortunately I think is happening now with Muncie is it's becoming mental, because if you watch that game today with the bases loaded and he looked at that pitch right down the middle, some people will say, and they asked him after the game, what happened there? And he said, I didn't think he would have had the balls to throw me 2 changeups in a row. That to me is a sign of someone that's overthinking. Of course, when you're playing baseball, everything is a guessing game, right? You're anticipating, this is what he's going to throw me. This is the poor guy, I think, is completely in his head. I don't know if anyone has ever been in a slump. A slump is one of the worst things in the world. Again, in my professional softball slow pitch career, I was in a slump one year, and it was horrible. It didn't matter if I hit the ball hard. I would hit it right at somebody, or you just couldn't get a hit. And it is the worst feeling in the world, because you feel like you're letting your team down. You feel like you're not contributing to anything. And I'm sure that's what Muncie was doing. I mean, there was that time, I think it was over the weekend, or maybe it was a prior series, where Muncie left without talking to the press because he had a good game that day, and he was superstitious. He was just like, well, maybe if I don't talk to the press, that'll be a good thing, and I'll snap out of this. Well, I mean, it's baseball. No one will be able to explain this. In the words of the famous Manny Mota, el béisbol es bien raro. Es una bola redonda que viene en una caja cuadrada. I mean, it's crazy.
Going back to Muncie, did you see it was yesterday, right? They put him back at first, and there was 2 consecutive.
But that was in the middle of the game. That's when they took Freeman out.
Yeah, there was 2 consecutive plays where the ball was thrown. There was an error on the play, and he had to go towards the outside of the bag. And did you see? I mean, obviously he was hesitant, and smart for him to be hesitant again for keeping his arm out of the way. But it was interesting, like 2 consecutive plays. Like after, I think that was that the first time
Joe Davis called that out, because I think even Joe Davis was worried for Muncie. Would it happen again?
Yeah, I mean, is that the first time he's played first all year? I think so, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So then it's back to what my neighbor at the dentist was saying. Yes, he's blaming Dave Roberts, but I took it bigger and I explained to him that's not always Dave Roberts, but there are people making big bucks upstairs at Dodger Stadium. The analytics, the numbers crunchers, wouldn't they know better than any of us whether Muncie was able to play? I mean, he's an investment. They wouldn't hurt him, on purpose, or continue to not want him to. They would support him, in other words, right? I mean, that's what they do. Their job is to, they got the best doctors, the best trainers, all of that. So I was trying to explain to my neighbor, Muncie would not be out there if they didn't think he could do it and was ready. Am I wrong?
And this is Alysha's neighbor right now watching the show going, why is she talking about me? She's not explaining it right. No, look, this is why I had such an issue with everyone saying this is going to be the greatest lineup of all time. It's going to be historic. It's because you have to take into account a force majeure, unforeseen acts of God. I mean, the thing is Muncie is recovering from an injury. It is unrealistic to expect him to perform. If you look back the year of the pandemic when the Dodgers won the World Series, Muncie was playing with an injured wrist, and he did not look good. He was struggling. Why? Because his wrist was bothering him. It wasn't bad enough where you could put him on the injured list, but it wasn't good, and it was still impacting. I mean, this is why baseball is such a difficult sport. The smallest little thing is bothering you, and it's going to prevent you from succeeding. So to me, I think poor Muncie, until he actually starts getting closer to 100%, it is tough to watch this guy right now, because you just feel for him, because he's aware of his struggle. He's hitting under 200 right now. I mean, he has of the starters, he has the lowest batting average. So it's just one of those things. I want to transition before we leave the Cubs series to the interview that Justin Turner gave during the ESPN Sunday night game. It was obvious to me that Turner did not want to participate in that. I actually thought that when he was complaining about his earpiece, he was faking it. He was saying it wasn't working so he wouldn't have to do the interview. My question to you guys is, as a fan, do you think any of those in-game interviews with players add anything to your viewing experience?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alysha, you go ahead.
I will say that there are a couple I have enjoyed. Most of them, no, because I'm not saying they're outright rude or anything like that, but they give a lot of, very safe baseball. What is in the words of Crash Davis, right? Like you gotta be not boring, but it's kind of safe, right?
Yeah.
I'm for the team. Da 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 da. I remember recently one of Kershaw's was excellent. He was so funny and witty, and I love seeing Kersh be, more. But he's also a veteran.
Let me stop you there, Alysha. The Kershaw one. Do you think Kershaw was funny and witty? Because I know what you're talking about. There seems to be like a laissez-faire approach from him. Do you think it's just because now he's getting older, he sees the light at the end of the tunnel, that he's just like, I don't care. What are they going to do to me? I'm going to enjoy it. It seems like Kershaw is actually out there enjoying and not being a red ass like he was at the beginning of his career.
Well, again, so I mentioned he's a veteran, and that's a nicer way of saying he's older. So you said it, I didn't. Absolutely right. With age comes wisdom, and he is probably really enjoying his life right now, right? And we're seeing it, and I'm all for it. But do I think that all players should have to do those interviews? No, because some are better than others. And I hear pundits talk about that's your job. You have to talk to the press, but it's usually the press saying that, because then what are they going to have to write about, right? But I also understand the hesitancy of somebody playing. Public speaking is difficult, and you're in the middle of the game, and you're supposed to, be in the game. Granted, it's baseball. You're in your dugout, but I still feel like bad if it doesn't go well, if it's not entertaining, if the guys in the booth are struggling to get something out of this player. I've seen it, and I'm not going to name anybody, but you named Turner. But I don't think they should be forced, but I also get the urgency to make baseball more appealing to more people. So I see both sides. I don't
Babyface, what do you think Turner enjoyed that?
Probably not. I mean, you're playing a game, and then you have some guy trying to talk to you. He was DHing that game, right?
He was on the he was DHing, but he was on the on deck circle, and they were still talking to him.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I think it kind of depends. I mean, we've seen Freeman do it when he's hitting, and I think even at the was it at the All-Star game?
But that was at the All-Star game, wasn't it?
Yeah, Joe Davis even asked him if he could talk to him this year at the All-Star game. So if Freeman's on the All-Star team, look forward to a Joe Davis, Freddie Freeman exchange while he's batting. So I think it kind of just depends on the player. Some players seem they're a little bit more relaxed with it, and some kind of, probably look like they kind of minded a bit.
It's interesting that you bring that up, Alysha, because we always at least on this show, we complain a lot that Major League Baseball does not market its players.
Yeah.
Should some of that blame be shifted to the players? I mean, don't the players have a responsibility if they do talk to the press more, if they do show more of a personality? Would that not be more appealing to an audience? Would the casual fan all of a sudden say, hey, I want to follow? I mean, it's fascinating to me when I explain to people how Freddie Freeman picked his walk-up song, Baila Conmigo. And it's because of his son. His son picked out that song for him, right? So all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, I love, Freddie Freeman. And you start following Freddie Freeman. So I get it that they shouldn't be forced to, but in a way, shouldn't some players? I mean, look, okay. Go ahead. Come at me.
Well, no. Yes. In a perfect world, yes, we'd all be savvy enough to want our brand to thrive. And of course, any attention you get, I mean, there's a lot of guys on a team. MLB wants the stars, right? Or the up and coming stars, or someone who's hot, but it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be good. And I blame the culture of baseball. The culture of baseball has been like this since the beginning of time. It's kind of like, it's an understood, one of those unwritten rules, right? Like, there's a lot of Dodgers who have bad raps for being rude to the media, salty, right? Ethier is one of them, and now he's so beloved. Like, I don't know if it's an age thing, or I'm just saying, I don't know if it's good to, maybe you open it up, maybe you give bonuses, maybe there's incentives, I don't know, to get the guys, but it starts at the top is my point. The culture of baseball has been a kind of keep it in-house, keep it in the clubhouse, not too much. It's a team sport, right? It started with them. I mean, look at bat flipping. That became almost a racial issue. So it's almost like we're finally now getting to see MLB catch up to the other two major sports in this country, allowing their stars to be stars, right? And not forcing someone like Mike Trout, who doesn't want to be a public star. He just wants to be a star on the field. But yet you have MLB shoving him down our throat for years. And we all know he doesn't want to tell us what's on his workout playlist. He doesn't want us to know what he's grilling for dinner. He doesn't want us to know he's drinking wine and smoking cigars. Like, that's not his vibe, right? I'm not saying he does or doesn't. I'm just giving you an example. So I don't know. I think MLB is more to blame for this than the players. And now younger players are hopefully seeing, Tatis and those kinds of guys are open. I just heard my first commercial with Urias, and it's a PSA, which I loved.
And it's in English. I've been hearing that for a couple weeks. I'm like, hey, Julio's speaking English. Yeah.
Let's go to the old man shaking fist at the sky, babyface. What do you? If you're not happy with patches, I'm sure you're not happy with these in-game interviews. Do you feel they add anything to the game?
I mean, they don't add anything, but I don't have a problem with them. I mean, unless it's like if they're trying to talk, like when a guy's hitting, that's kind of like, probably not the best time, obviously, because the guy's trying to do something that could actually, count towards the game. If they're down something and he's trying to get a hit to score somebody, it's probably the wrong time. So, but I don't really have a problem with that. I'm new school with that.
Well, let's transition. I know we already touched on it a little bit.
We do have a visitor.
Uh-oh.
Let's see who it is.
Someone's coming in on knocking the door. Hey, everybody! You never know who's going to stop by the Carne Asada. Our homie, our host, the guy who drives the show. Alonso, ¿cómo estás, mi amigo?
I've been working, so my bad. It's been a day.
All right, let me catch you up, Alonso.
Please.
So the Dodgers suck because they lost 2 out of 3 versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cats and dogs are falling from the sky. It's mass hysteria. But I want to lead off with this question to you. Would you wear a cup playing in Major League Baseball?
Am I pitching or what's my position?
You're playing third base.
Yes. If I'm playing a position, I am wearing a cup.
So do you find it odd that Muncy was not wearing a cup when Wilson Contreras pulled a Ric Flair on him and did the dirtiest play in wrestling?
The dirtiest player in the game does the
dirtiest player in the game. Exactly.
Yes and no. I know a lot of guys nowadays don't like to wear them.
Okay.
I personally would wear one if I was going to be facing pitchers. There's no chance I wouldn't be caught dead without a cup.
Babyface is telling me that the majority of MLB doesn't wear cups.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of guys don't.
Wow.
A lot of football players don't wear them either, which I think is funny.
I think that's crazy. Football?
Yeah.
Is it to be free? Like I'm on the other. I don't know why you wouldn't in a contact sport, especially football.
This is why we brought Alysha on the show, by the way. We can talk, have genital talk here, and let us know how we're swinging it.
All adults here, but I mean, you guys. I know it's really painful.
Yeah.
And third base to me, Juan, what is the problem that could happen? Like someone could slide into him?
No, someone could hit a ball 105 miles an hour, and your reaction time is just not there. I mean, I've seen it before. It was in Little League, but I mean, you hear the sound of the cup, but it still doesn't feel good. But if you had the cup, it protected you at least a little bit from, a rush to the hospital. But it's I'm just surprised. I was today years old when I realized that the majority of major leaguers don't wear cups.
Yeah, and a lot of it, I from like what dudes have said, it's just weird running with them. But I don't know about you. I don't want to get hit in the Johnsons and then not be able to, do stuff like walk.
Yeah,
or sit. But on today's, I'm glad we were able to make a stop in Alysha's corner of genitalia speak today. So
exactly. That'll be a new segment on the show. So tune into the next episode to see what Alysha comes up with.
Yes.
Can I at least take this opportunity to mention that we can get kicked in our privates and we don't go down? I'm just saying.
Again, this is now the second time that she has shown us that women are tougher than men. No one's arguing with you, Alysha. We all agree with you. Women are tougher.
It's the comments. I don't want to say it, but what are men called when they are perceived to be weak? It is a woman's
kittens. Yeah. We're called kitties.
And I mean, just this discussion alone is one of my examples of how we are not the weaker. It's not even about being.
I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable on this show, Alysha, because I don't believe in toxic masculinity. That's the reason I am sharing with you my fear of not wearing a cup on a baseball field.
I'm just letting you know my fear of not wearing a cup is I don't want that pain. That pain's excruciating. Like, I mean, it's my wife asks me all the time, like, what's it like? And it's not great, but it's definitely not comparable to childbirth. I can say that.
So now that we've completely derailed the show, Alonso, what did you think of Pepeo's debut? We were about to transition to Pepeo making his debut in Pittsburgh.
It's kind of what I expected. You know, obviously the comps on Pepeo are Walker Buehler 2.0, and that's kind of what I expected. You know, didn't let the moment get to him. He was pretty efficient, all things considered, especially for a guy that, you know, a lot of people didn't think he was going to be up this year either. So for him to come in kind of in that moment, I think he did great, and he looked like he belonged, and that's kind of what you want out of your debut.
Alysha, what'd you think?
I thought he was awesome. I was very pleasantly surprised. A little wild, but that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Like I loved seeing. I just recently watched Bull Durham, and so to hear the guys in the booth, you know, say the word wild or I'm sorry, lack of command. I don't know why I was instantly taken to to Nuke and everybody. I mean, great for him, right? Bravo. I'm going to give him a round.
So for those of you drinking at home, that's 2 Bull Durham references on the show from Alysha today. And
there's already been 2.
Yeah. So now it makes sense why she's referring to Bull Durham so much, because she recently saw it.
I just put it on. It was late night. I was doing laundry. It came up and I'm like, oh, Bull Durham, I love. And then boom. It was literally last night I was packing. So
Wait, had you never seen Bull Durham before?
How dare you?
Well, I mean, if you're throwing out 2 references, I don't know.
I'm saying they fit for having a pitcher that was a little wild, you know, 1 strike, like he was up and down, but he did not allow
his final line was 3 innings. He only gave up 1 hit. He walked 5. He walked 5. He struck out 3, and he had 77 pitches.
77.
So that the pitch count was up there. His control. I'm going to segue only because I want Babyface to apologize to the Catman, because the only game the Dodgers won in that series was by a man by the name of Tony Gonsolin. And I guess on Tuesday, Tony Gonsolin was a man. So I want to give Tony Gonsolin the Man Award for this week, and we'll save the Cat Award for some other time, right, Babyface? Go ahead. I'll let you apologize to the man. Apologize to him.
Oh, he hasn't apologized to him yet?
I have said there's 2 versions of Tony Gonsolin, right? The Catman and then the man. So when he pitches like a man, you know, we get what he's done pretty much in the last 2 outings, and that's what I want to see. Obviously, his first inning was a little rough, you know, threw a lot of pitches. Didn't hurt him, but it hurt him as far as longevity in the game. But it's great. I love seeing that. I want to see more. I like I said, I told you guys, I think he could get into the 6th and possibly into the 7th if he keeps the pitch count down. But
Tony Gonsolin's ERA is now 1.33.
Real quick segue. I just want to compliment the hat that Alysha has on. I think that's like the best hat I've ever seen. Just in case, you know.
Where can you find those hats, Babyface?
Nowhere right now, but just hit me up if you need one.
That's awesome.
Nowhere right now.
Capitalism at its best, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
Because you can't find those anywhere right now.
But back to, you know, Pepeo. I thought Pepeo did great. You know, obviously a lot of nerves, you know, first start. And I think, you know, the wildness should subside, you know, his next start. I don't know if his next start will be in MLB or back with, you know, down at the farm. But, you know, I think it was a good start for him.
Can I say something about Pepeo?
Go right ahead, sir.
The thing that I liked about him is that when he got in jams, he was kind of able to get out of him. And even though the Pirates are the Pirates, they're still a big league team, right? So he was able to kind of minimize the what could have been, I guess, a predicament. And that you don't really see out of a lot of guys that do their big league debuts. So for me, like, I'll take that all day too.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what the Dodgers do, because they are playing, I believe, they're in a stretch right now where they're playing 31 games in 30 days.
Something like that, yeah.
So I do believe they're probably going to go with a 6-man rotation. which makes this next topic really interesting. So Blake Trinin's injury is still, I don't think, has been identified as to what his actual injury is, but what we know is that he's going to be out until the All-Star game.
Mhm.
And I'm curious to see what it's going to do to the bullpen. We saw, so babyface, is it Conley or Kenley?
It's Canely, I believe.
Canley, okay. So he got roughed up today. But in his defense, the guy hasn't pitched in a week. So I'm really interested to see, and this is where we can talk to Alysha's neighbor who was at the dentist with him to see if he blames Dave Roberts for this. Again, the way this bullpen is being used. So with Trinin being gone now until the All-Star break, it seems like there's a group of guys that get regular action in games. And then you have guys like Conley who we don't see for a week, or who's the chubby dude? What's his name again? He used to pitch for the Giants that basically they only pitch him in garbage time.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
It's Montes, right?
Yeah,
Man, Montes, yeah.
I'm totally Moronta. I'm sorry. Reyes Moronta. So I'm curious because now you hear these rumors that they're shopping David Price. So do you think, first of all, anyone will take David Price? And being that the pitching staff where it's at, do the Dodgers have the luxury of trading David Price? Anyone can take that one. Feel free, guys.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was for Alysha. That's why I didn't say anything.
Oh no. So is it really terribly mean that I'm not surprised if the Dodgers.
I love that Alysha tries to be nice, but she's the biggest savage on this show. She always prefaces everything with like, I don't mean to be mean, but I'm about to rip you a new one right now.
No. No, I am not the Simon Cowell. I am the Paula Abdul of this show. Okay.
Got it.
Wait, was she? Did you really think that you were the Simon Cowell here? Because I don't think you're the Simon Cowell. I think we all know who the Simon
Paula
Cowell
Abdul.
is.
She's a cold-hearted snake.
She is.
What?
She is.
No.
But you're not a snake though. Like you're a great person. You're just like Paula Abdul. You're just kind of.
I just meant it.
Come on, Alysha, straight up now. Tell me.
I don't.
I see what you did there, Juan. I see what you did there.
Thank you, babyface. 2 shows nightly at the Pacoima Hilton. I'm out.
There's still a Hilton in Pacoima?
Go ahead, Alysha. I'm sorry.
Dang, now you're calling. First, babyface offends cat lovers, and now you're offending Hiltons of Pacoima. I mean, what is happening here?
Gone off the rails, and then somehow, some way, you got a segment about genitals. But here we are.
I know. I didn't want to go back to the generals. I was just saying. All I'm going to say is, I am not surprised that the Dodgers are or could be shopping Price around. I don't think Price is he's not relevant. And that sounds mean, but he's not. One way or another, I don't hate him. I don't love him. He's that guy for me.
I'll say this. The way you phrased it, yes, it sounds mean. I would have gone, maybe he's not productive. He's struggling. He can't stay healthy. You literally said the man is not relevant. But, okay, yeah. You're not a savage.
I meant as a team player. I don't.
That makes it okay.
I think she's saying we don't see Price that much to be like, oh, Price, oh yeah, he's on the team. Like he doesn't really bring a lot to the table right now, I guess.
Well, he was on the IL for COVID, right?
Yeah,
he still is, I believe. He hasn't even done
a while though, hasn't it?
Well, he's been cleared, but I think he wanted to go to Chicago because he'd never been there.
Right.
And then I think he's gonna go get in some games in rehab.
Okay, so he's gonna get a rehab. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised they're shopping him, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to be as much of a savage as Alysha, but I'm not surprised they're shopping him. No, it's all in jest. It's all in jest. I mean, realistically speaking, like what role does he have in the bullpen or even in the rotation? You haven't seen a consistent David Price to begin with. So if you can get some sort of value for him and something in return, why not?
And Juan is the one. He wants the Dodgers to be consistent. So there you have it. The Dodgers should trade him. What do you think they want? Is there anyone out there?
I think they just want to salary. I don't think they want to take anyone back. I mean, they got guys in the minors, I think, that they could probably bring up to use. So I think it's like one of those situations with AJ Pollock where they didn't want to take a player back. They just want to dump salary.
Mhm.
So, but I'm just, who's going to take that contract? I get it. It's the last year of his contract, but who's going to take that money? I mean, maybe as it gets closer to the trade deadline, someone will do it. Maybe the Dodgers will have to throw something in to get rid of him. I just find it really interesting that all of a sudden these rumors are coming out that David Price is on the trading block, and I'm just like, is there a market for David Price? Like, and because they use that they want to find a place for him to pitch in a starting rotation. So I guess pitching is always a need, but I mean, maybe the Dodgers are going to have to pay some of that contract in order to get rid of him.
Well, and also the Dodgers in the past have released guys too. Like they haven't had a problem. I mean, Carl Crawford is a dude that I've said his name a bunch. I think they're still paying him. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they end up doing that just to get that log jam. Because I mean, Ryan Pepeo wasn't overly bad today. So I mean, I don't see why not.
Alysha?
I just want to mention this is our inaugural live Bleedlos podcast. Thank you to the viewers that showed up on such short notice. This is the first one. We're kind of checking it out, but I want to tell you or repeat what Sports Empire wrote. Did you all see his comments?
No.
Package. So we're talking about the Dodgers possibly shopping Price around. Sports Empire wrote at 6:50 p.m. Package Price and Urias in a deal.
But for what? Are you gonna what are we gonna get back? Like Juan Soto and like the rest of the Nationals? Like that's like they're not gonna do that.
I want to keep Price here by any means necessary. Price. I want to keep Urias here by any means necessary.
I was about to say, didn't you just ship him off already? Because
No.
that's what I heard a few minutes ago.
He seems like a really cool cat, a nice guy, Price.
Oh yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
just saying what Babyface mentioned is he hasn't pitched very much. We haven't seen very much of him, and the stuff we've seen hasn't been mind blowing. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure he's a very lovely man. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I know we're getting towards the end of the show, but I wanted to touch base on this because I saw rave reviews on social media for Dontrelle Willis. It seems that Dontrelle Willis, a lot of fans took to him being the color analyst. We had Jessica Mendoza earlier in the season. She got good reviews. Eric Karros started off the road trip. And then, of course, you still have Hershaw, and I think maybe Nomar is going to do some color games later on in the season. What do you guys think about this rotating of color analysts on road trips? Hershiser's still going to be at home now. I'm just assuming everybody loves Hershiser, so I'm not including Hershiser in this conversation. But what do you guys think of this rotating color commentating and the new guys that are coming on? Alonso.
I like him. I like Dontrelle. D-Train is a great baseball mind. What I like about D-Train is he never played for the Dodgers, but he sounds like a Dodger fan. And that's something that I kind of like. Because one thing I hate about kind of like regional networks, I don't like the homer guys. Like when you watch what do you call the Tigers? The Tigers of what?
The Tigers of the North?
No, Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah. When you watch
the French Canadian border, that's
right there. Those damn Yoopers. But there's those dudes that just sound too homerish. You know what I mean? And Dontrelle's kind of like a good medium as far as that goes. Same with Jessica Mendoza. I've liked Jessica Mendoza for a long time. I just didn't like what's that guy's name? The guy the A-Rod. I didn't like that combo. But as far as Jessica Mendoza and those two, I think they've been great additions. And also, I mean, in my opinion, it's the best booth in baseball. I mean, you have Oral Hershiser and Joe Davis, and then you throw those guys in. Just like the Dodgers, it's just an embarrassment of riches.
I love that. Embarrassment of riches. I concur. I agree 100%. I am a big fan of Dontrelle. I adore Jessica Mendoza. And as a former softball player, my daughter played softball. All my cousins played softball. She's like a legend in our eyes, and she's California grown. So I am a homer. I admit that. I was not a fan of A-Rod, so this is all refreshing. And I don't mind. I know my parents, my dad really wasn't a fan of Eric Karros, but maybe he just has to warm up to him. I thought he was fine. I am looking forward to seeing or hearing Nomar again. Homer. He's from Whittier. Big dub in the house.
Whittier, where the girls are prettier.
That's right. So yeah, so I enjoy it. I think keep it coming, keep it more voices, fresh. And then you also have more people. If you can like a Joe Buck, you know where his loyalties lie. You know what's his jam and what he doesn't like. He does not hide it. So being stuck with him all the time got to be, I'd rather turn the radio on. I really love listening to games on the radio. So I'm grateful to have different opinions, different voices, and especially more women and women of color. Shout out.
Babyface, let's hear from you.
No, I think they've all been great. D-Train got some great reviews. I think I don't know, just the way he spoke and just he was talking about pizza and just. I mean, he just
talking about pizza. He was
he was eating it live. I mean, he just fit right in. I think he did a really great job. And the other ones that they've had in Mendoza and Garcia Parra and Carlos. I think they all work. I mean, but you also got to hand it to Joe Davis. I mean, Joe Davis having this rotation of people coming in, and he doesn't miss a beat either. He's always on cue. He gets along with everyone. He's able to connect with each and every person. So. You got to hand it to Joe Davis because that's not easy, having a different partner coming in every time. So I think big ups for him.
Preach.
All right, we're up against the clock, so let's end with our predictions. Just a wrap up of last week. So last week, the Dodgers on the road trip went 4-2. So I had them going 4-2, and Alysha had them going 4-2. So Alysha gets on the board. And so let's update the standings before we go ahead and make our picks. So right now, we in the lead with 2 points is yours truly. And then followed by Alonso with 1, Alysha with 1, and Babyface with 1. So we all know who knows baseball on this show. So we have 8 games. 8
blocked.
We have 8 games next week. 4 games against the Fighting Phillies, and then 4 games against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Since I control the board, I will go first, and I say the Dodgers will go 5-3 next week.
Alysha?
6-2. They're going to be back home, and we've already discussed. Alonso, I think you missed at the beginning of the show. We spent a lot of time on why the Dodgers are losing to teams that they shouldn't, and I use the excuse that they are playing in empty stadiums and their energy is down and they don't get up, whereas the rest of the league gets up for us. So 6-2.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Juan's prediction as well, because those pesky Diamondbacks are. I don't know if anyone said anything. The NL West is vibing right now. Everyone doesn't suck. Even though I obviously dubbed the Colorado, I told the Colorado Rockies and sent their condolences before the season started, but clearly they are proving me incorrect. So I think they're going to split with the D-backs and go into Philadelphia, and which, they should be good, but they've been inconsistent too. So 5-2, just like Juan.
5-3
or 5-3. I'm sorry.
Babyface, give me that super fan prediction of yours. Bears 249, Packers 3.
I'm gonna go 6-2. I think they'll take.
Well, hold on.
3 out of 4 in each series.
You're burying the lead here. That you have the Dodgers losing games.
Yeah, well, we know they're gonna lose every once in a while, so I'll give 2 losses this homestand.
Is it only because there's 8 games in this situation?
Yeah, so if there would have been 10, it'd probably be like 8-2. That's kind of how I do the math.
One each series, Babyface, or 2 in Arizona? What do you mean? 2
I think it'll be 1 in each series. So 3-1, 3-1.
Same. So 1 each series.
So before I throw it over to Alonso to close out the show, I just want to throw out I will be at the first game of the doubleheader against the Diamondbacks on Mexican Heritage. day because I am a Mexican. So if you guys are around the stadium, come by, say hi. Make sure you subscribe to the Bleed Lows podcast. We appreciate your support. And as you can see, our inaugural live episode, you just never know what's going to happen on the Carne Asada. Alonso, take us out.
Real quick, make sure you guys subscribe. We'll be going live again next week, I believe, Thursday. So once we go live, make sure you're subscribed. That way you get notified when we're going on. You'll get a notification, and then we should be doing this every week. And we didn't fall off the air, so we did good.
And
that was good.
Let's like juice it up and let's throw them some bones. We're also gonna have guests. We might have some giveaways. We want to make sure that everybody has a good time the way we have a good time talking about our Dodgers and tacos.
Yes,
that's right. And this just in, I think we found one of our sponsors will be giving out free cups. So for those of you who don't play, we will be giving out Bleed Lows podcast cups.
We have a new sponsor.
We have a new sponsor that no one knew about. I was actually, I jokingly have a jock strap in my office. For those of you that don't know, I work for a professional soccer team, and they don't use cups in soccer because you can't. But we have a jock strap here, and I was actually going to pull it up and say that was our sponsor. So Juan took the bit. Damn it.
The name of the sponsor is Ay Mis Huevos. So
Yes.
Ay Mis Huevos.
Yes, they're a Mexican startup out of TJ, and they make cups.
And will it be in Old English?
That's a little too much. That's a little too stereotypical. Also, if you we've talked about this, but we're working on some stuff for the All-Star game too. So hopefully the lives will be a part of that as well. And we want you guys to join us. So subscribe, follow us on the socials. I saw the ticker a minute ago. I don't know if we have the budget to run it again, but if we do, you should run that again. Hey, there it is. But follow us because we all have different lives. Alysha has different lives. Juan has a different life. Have you made your babyface social media yet, Roger?
Yeah, it's right there. Dodgers beat.
Nice.
I still think you should make a babyface handle of some kind, be it Instagram or Twitter. Because if you guys don't know this, babyface is a name of irony because he is a heel. But without further ado, thank you guys for joining us. As always,
Driver 7332 Sports Empire, Simeon, my sister, my daughter. Thanks, guys.
our Boots, I think, was the first name I saw there. So everyone that joined us, thank you a ton. We appreciate it. We'll do this again, and we'll have a new episode on what's today? I don't even know the day.
Well, this episode will be available also on our podcast, wherever you get your podcast. So you'll be able to, if you didn't watch this podcast, you'll be able to download it tomorrow and hear it. And so our next podcast will be tomorrow morning.
Yeah, check it out. And as always, thank you guys, and go Dodgers, and we'll catch you down the road.
Check it out.